Hey, it's Tyler, TJack Survival and Survival Dispatch. I recently, well, a month or two ago, picked up a Desertec Trek-22. What is it? Stick with me and find out. So I'm constantly looking for innovation, new ideas, cool stuff that will work for survival, preparedness, or in my case, just playing around in the mountains, right? Growing up in Idaho, we always, when other kids in the cities were at the mall doing their thing, I was in the fields shooting squirrels for farmers and taking tails back for 10 cents a tail so that I could buy more ammunition and shoot some more. And it gave me a fairly decent understanding early on about firearms. Before I joined the military, worked in law enforcement, both state and federal. The interesting thing about that journey is that you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And I didn't realize how much I didn't know in the beginning until I went to the military. And then I didn't realize about how much I didn't know about pistols until I went into law enforcement. And then so on for every class that I took, be it law enforcement, contracting, military, whatever. The point is, you got to start somewhere, and usually the passion for that is where you start. It's fun to go out and shoot stuff, right? It's fun to go plinking targets and whatever you want to shoot. So having said all of that, chase that rabbit down that rabbit hole, the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because I think everyone wants to know what's the ideal bug out gun, what's the ideal hunting gun, what's the ideal varmint gun. The problem is, there's no ideal, right? The ideal car is the Subaru Baja. It doesn't do anything well, okay? It does everything kind of halfway, not very well at all. So I think when it comes to choosing the right gun for you or the right knife for you or whatever, get something that fits your need. My need, the thing that I like, is cheap, reliable, something I can throw in the trunk, something I can shoot on the regular that would work well in a hunting situation, a long-term food getter, something for hunting now, because most of our life we're going to live pre-SHTF. So why not get the things that are good for that as well as post-SHTF? Having said all that, I want to talk a little bit about this gun. So this is the Desertec Trek-22. All this is a 1022 Bullpup. What's a 1022? Well, let me show you. So here's one of my Ruger 1022s. It's not stock, clearly. I got a stainless steel Ruger 1022. I put a backpacker stock on it. I then added this bull barrel for accuracy and the ability to add a suppressor to it. And that's a 1022 right there, okay? So it's just a 22 long rifle. This one, it's got some things that I've added to it because I really like the idea of a lightweight, backpackable, carries ammunition in the stock, right? I can put ammunition in the stock, accurate, suppressor capable firearm, right? Because it gives me the ability to be quiet, carry a lot of ammunition. I got 30 rounds just right there alone. Right there's 40, and I haven't even added another magazine. I've got some of these 25 round magazines in the bag over there in my vehicle, and there's a bag I can put in as a trunk bag or secure it somehow. The point is, this is a great survival gun. This is one of the first ones I went to. This is also a great survival gun. So we take the 1022, we put it in the Desertec Trek-22 stock, and we bought this Bullpup. So a little story on this, they're brand new. They just come out, if I recall correctly, at the last SHOT Show, I'm not sure. I got one of the first stocks made pre-mass production. And I used it. I took it to the range and I assembled it. A little quick note, because I'm going to show you some of the footage right now on the assembly. There are torque specifications on the sheet and the instructions. I didn't use them. I thought I'll just throw this thing together. Because of that, I had a trigger reset problem. So when I went in and got the torque specifications corrected, that helped the stock function better. I eventually swapped out for a different stock. This is another pre-production stock. So having said that, you'll see a couple differences, and I want to address them so that you know why they look different. One of the main differences they're going to come up with is they're going to put a screw right here. One of the reasons they're going to do that is just to hold this top part a little bit tighter together. So I want to address the failures, and I want to address the positives. One of the failures is that it's not tight right there on the top. It doesn't affect the function. It still functions just fine. But it does affect that's a little loose there. Another one of the problems that they had was it's a bullpup, so you've got one trigger coming back to push another trigger on the inside, and if you don't have enough tightness right here, pins can slide out, stuff can adjust. There's two main pins that go in the upper receiver that go right here. They've replaced with these bolts. They function just fine. What you don't want to happen is you squeeze the trigger, it fires, you release, it doesn't reset, so no trigger reset. In order to help compensate by that, they've reinforced some of the plastic right here on the side to alleviate that problem. So I saw those problems, I saw some fails. I got a newer version of the stock and they went away. Okay, that's part of the R&D process for something like this. Now let's talk about some of the positives. On the positive, this is really short, right? The size of this gun, or this stock, is essentially a little shorter, I'm going to show you the barrel right there, than the overall length to make it legal. What that means is this is not a short-barreled rifle. You don't need a $200 tax stamp to possess it legally. Another pro, and let me talk about this really quick too. There's a lot of hate online about this from people who have not shot the stock, right? And I will always reserve judgment. I saw some fails in the first iteration that I had, and then I saw the mechanisms that the company put in place to fix those failures. So now I've got a high functional weapon system that I like, right? So if there's failures in the action, that's a Ruger fail. If there's failures in the stock, that's a Desert Tech failure. If there's no failures, which this gun has not failed on me once in this current setup, then that's a positive for both Ruger and for Desert Tech. So some of that hate, I believe, is just based on they looked at the gun and said, I don't like it, I don't want it. That's cool, you do you. But I reserve judgment by going out, grabbing it, buying it, using it for a couple months, and just deciding on my own what I like. One of the complaints they said is that the angle was too steep on the grip. Holding it, it feels correct. It feels fine to me. It might be a little steeper, I don't know, I can't tell. But I did ask them why, and the reason they said that is because if they did a pistol grip or something that comes down lower, it gets in the road of some of the aftermarket magazines. So that makes sense. So let's talk about trigger squeeze, about shooting this a little bit, and some of the other survival appropriate things. We'll start with the survival appropriate things because that's kind of my favorite. I like that they put two stocks. I like that they put two 10-round magazines in the stock. That's cool, right? Even without this 30 rounder, I can have a 10 round and two 10 rounds and have 30 rounds in the gun, throw it in my trunk, throw it in a bag, whatever I want to do. I could put front pop-up Picatinny rails, make it an iron sight, and just have kind of a beater that I can, sling lead at squirrels with. Or in my case, I like that 25 rounder. It sticks out a little bit, but now I have more ammunition, right? I have more ammo on the gun, which means less ammunition I need to carry. So I got 25 rounds there, 20 rounds there, so I've got 45 rounds in the gun currently, which gives me, more ammunition with less of a lightweight package. Now, I'm not a big fan of red dots because when you shoot at super long distances, unless you've got a hologram that has an infinite shrinking point on it, it's really hard to be accurate at those distances with red dot. That's been my experience. I've heard arguments for and against it. I'm not here to have that conversation. I just personally like Trijicon chevrons or whatever on my red dots, because it seems to be more effective for me. Having said that, this is a red dot that I just got done complaining about. The reason why I'm using it is because it's a 22, right? 100 meters max is really what I'm going to throw lead at. The majority of things are going to be 25 meters and under, so that's just not an issue for a gun like this. The other thing I like about a red dot is I can look with both eyes at the squirrel or whatever I want to see. I can, with both eyes, put it up here, trigger squeeze, and hit what I want to hit. So for me, for a 22 or a pistol, red dot is a win. All right, my assessment on this, the trigger feels way better than I figured a Bullpup trigger would. Most Bullpup triggers suck because they're squeezing such a long distance. This has a fairly crisp reset. It's a solid screen door to squeeze through, not too much pressure, and then a good crisp reset. Now, part of that is because I bought a brand new Ruger 1022 to put it into the stock. The other part of that has to be the way that it was built, okay? It was built very well. So, as far as a good trunk gun, a good survival gun, a good bug out gun, a short backpack gun, I think this is a solid win, a good choice, something that you can grab. And the cool thing is, I know a lot of people already own 1022s. They can just take their existing 1022, as long as it doesn't have a permanent Picatinny rail on the top. That's important. So if it has a removable Picatinny rail, or it's not some other manufacturer creating their Ruger 1022, it will fit in this stock. You can just grab it and go. All right, let's do a little bit of shooting. Now, I obviously don't need this tripod for this, but it's a lot easier to talk and discuss with things and then throw it on the tripod and do what I want to do. Quick note about this tripod, it's a Field Optics Research tripod. It's got a nice little tensioner here on the bottom. I can release it, get it on wherever I want to shoot, pull it tight, and then just leave it there, right? That's good for long-term waiting when it comes to hunting up in the mountains like this. You might be sitting up on a hill with a tripod like this, waiting for the deer to come over the top. You might be there for an hour instead of holding it. It's just there looking at the one point. It also gives you a lot of stability if you want to do actual legit long distance shooting. This thing will lock it down so that you can, you know, be super stable in your long range shooting. Obviously this isn't a long range shooting setup, so be it. I gotta thump a couple rocks, I think. Okay, the safety as well is right here, right? So you do have to move back to access the safety if you're gonna do your shooting. See little tufts of stuff popping up right there. See if I can hit some snow patches. So, I mean, I don't know what more to say. Crisp trigger squeeze, super accurate. Let's talk a little bit about this without the tripod, because I assume that's how most people are going to be using this. Because it's a Bullpup, a lot of your weight is right here, which is nice. That means you don't have to hold a lot of front weight when you're using this thing. It also means I could lay on the ground, lock it up, a nice comfortable position to shoot, or I can lock forward just like a CQB type of a position. You know, kind of pick the squirrel, hit squirrel. Really kind of nice. So, shoots tight, shoots accurate, very consistent. It's 25, 50 meters is about all I've really played with it for. But for a trunk gun, for a backpack gun, for a survival gun, that's about perfect. Okay, if you guys are interested in these, it's called the Desert Tech Trek-22. I like it. I'm super happy that I have this thing, and I plan on using this a lot more. I'm gonna grab some suppressors. We'll have a suppressor discussion with this gun in the future. So what attributes would constitute the ultimate bug out gun? Lots of ammunition with low weight, something short that you can throw in a backpack, doesn't carry heavy, doesn't have a lot of weight when you go backpacking, something that gives you the ability to get a lot of game with, to feed yourself with, so that you can have it for a long duration of time. Guns are only good until you run out of bullets. Something accurate and something quick. And I think this meets all of that criteria. 22 is lightweight. 1,000 rounds doesn't weigh very much at all. I can use it for 1,000 animals in a perfect world, or even 500 if I miss every other one. And that's a lot of meat. It's short, so it's not heavy. I can throw in a backpack. It's reliable, shoots every time I squeeze that trigger, and it's quick. I can use both eyes, pick my target, hit what I want to hit. Gotta have one in the chamber. So I think this meets the criteria for an ultimate bug out weapon system. There you have it. Hopefully that's valuable to you. If you have any comments you want to leave it down below. If you think of any of the weapon systems you think that would meet that criteria, let me know about it. Thank you for watching. Bug out gun. Lots of ammunition.